Breathe in slowly. And breathe out. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension ease. Tonight, we return to a story from the Gospel of Matthew. Chapter 14. A story about 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. There were thousands of people, and almost nothing to feed them with. What do you do when what you have is not enough? Jesus showed his disciples something that evening. Something about what happens when the little we bring is placed in his hands. The little is enough. What he blesses does not run out. Nothing is wasted. Rest now. You are about to hear the story of the evening everything was satisfied. The story begins in grief. Jesus has just heard that John the Baptist has been killed. His cousin. The one who prepared the way. Matthew tells us that when Jesus heard this, he withdrew by boat to a desolate place by himself. He needed to be alone. He needed quiet. He needed space to grieve. But the crowds heard where he had gone, and they followed on foot from the towns. When Jesus came ashore and saw the great crowd, he had compassion on them. He did not send them away. He did not protect his grief from their need. He healed their sick. This is where the miracle begins. Not in abundance. Not in a prepared place with enough resources. It begins in a desolate place. In grief. With people who are desperate. And with a Jesus who has compassion anyway. The hours pass. The sun begins to drop toward the hills. Evening is coming. The disciples come to Jesus with a practical concern. This is a desolate place, they say. And the day is now over. Send the crowds away to go into the villages and buy food for themselves. It is a reasonable suggestion. It is the logical thing to do. There is no food here. The people need to eat. The towns are not far. But Jesus says something unexpected. They need not go away. You give them something to eat. You give them something to eat. The disciples hear the impossible in those words. They are standing in a desolate place, with thousands of people, and no resources to speak of. But Jesus has not yet seen what they have. And what they have in his hands will be enough. The disciples look at what they have. We have only 5 loaves here, they say, and 2 fish. In another gospel we are told these belonged to a boy, a child who had brought a small lunch. 5 small loaves of barley bread. 2 fish. It is not a meal. It is barely a snack for one person. And facing them is a crowd of 5,000 men, plus women and children. The number is beyond counting in any practical sense. The gap between what they have and what the crowd needs is so large it does not even seem worth naming. And yet they name it. They bring what they have to Jesus. That small act matters. They do not hide the 5 loaves and say nothing. They do not walk away because it is not enough. They say what they have. They offer it. And that is where the miracle begins. With the small offering. With the honest admission of not enough. Placed in the hands of Jesus. Jesus says, "Bring them here to me." Then he orders the crowds to sit down on the grass. Thousands of people settling onto the hillside, waiting. And Matthew records what Jesus does next, in 5 quiet movements. He took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. He looked up to heaven. He gave thanks. He broke the bread. He gave it to the disciples. And the disciples gave it to the crowds. There is no dramatic moment. No lightning. No declaration. He simply looked up. He thanked God. He broke. He gave. The word for what he did with the bread is the same word used later, at the Last Supper. Blessed, broke, gave. The feeding of thousands begins the same way as every act of communion. With gratitude. With open hands. With the willingness to receive and to give. Matthew writes the result in 6 plain words. And they all ate and were satisfied. All of them. Not most of them. Not the ones who got there early. All of them. And they were not just barely fed. They were not offered a taste and told that was enough. They were satisfied. That word in the Greek means filled. Fully satisfied. Nothing lacking. A crowd that numbered in the thousands. Sitting on the grass in a desolate place. At the end of a long day. Had everything they needed. Jesus did not multiply the food in a blaze of light. He blessed it and broke it and gave it. And there was enough. The miracle was quiet. Hands passing bread. And somehow, enough. Somehow, more than enough. This is what happens when what we carry is given to Jesus. The insufficient becomes sufficient. And everyone is fed after everyone has eaten. The disciples go through the grass and collect the fragments that are left over. 12 baskets. 12 full baskets of leftover pieces. They began with 5 loaves and 2 fish. After feeding thousands, they end with 12 baskets full. What Jesus gives does not run out, and nothing is wasted. The disciples gather every fragment. Every piece is collected. Nothing is left on the ground. There is something in this that speaks beyond the practicality of it. What God provides is not squandered. It is gathered. It is kept. The 12 baskets are also a sign. One for each of the 12 disciples. Each one carrying home more than they brought. You came with not enough. You leave with 12 baskets. What begins as scarcity, in the hands of Jesus, becomes abundance. And none of it is wasted. Let the story settle now. The little was enough. 5 loaves, 2 fish. He blessed and broke and gave. And all were satisfied. Not almost. Not barely. Fully satisfied. 12 baskets remained. Nothing was wasted. What you bring to Him is not too small. It does not have to be enough before you bring it. You bring what you have. He does the rest. He gives back more than you came with. The crowd has gone home. The hillside is quiet. The baskets are full. The evening is still. You are satisfied. You are held. You do not have to carry the scarcity anymore. The little was enough. Nothing is wasted. He blessed and broke and gave. And there was enough for everyone. Enough for you. You can let go. You can rest. The little is enough. He blessed and broke and gave. The little is enough. He blessed and broke and gave. The little is enough. He blessed and broke and gave. All were satisfied. Nothing is wasted. All were satisfied. Nothing is wasted. All were satisfied. Nothing is wasted. You are held. You can rest. You are held. You can rest. You are held. You can rest.